1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. One, two. Please let me know if you can hear me, that I'm not distorting or anything. You can hear this. You can hear me. This is our preamble, just to make sure that I haven't screwed everything up before we even start. My vocal is very quiet, okay? Is that a little bit better? Let me know if that's better. Good, thank you. Okay, well, if you can hear me and you can hear this, then that means welcome to our Molten live stream this evening here at the very bleeding edge of 2018. How exciting! Come along, join in, warm yourselves up, come and grab a beer, something to eat, a coffee, maybe even a party hat, and let's get chatting about the gear, the fabulous gear, the software, the hardware, the synthesis, the sampling, is there any sampling? I don't know, that kind of thing. We're going to chat about it over the next 10 minutes to 2 hours. Anything could happen in between those sort of times. So grab yourself something. I'm just going to fiddle with this for a couple of minutes just to let the masses gather, because I know that there are thousands of you, just thousands of you, waiting to come through, who haven't quite heard that it's on yet, and are just biding their time, you know. Anyway, so I'm just going to fiddle for a minute or two. You relax, chat amongst yourselves, and let's see what happens. Hey, that'll do. That'll do. So welcome, welcome. You're very welcome to our Molten live stream here, the last one of the year. I think, how have you been? Did you have a good Christmas? Did you have a lovely time? Was it a time for rejoicing? Was it a time for burying your head, hopefully in the chest of a beloved one? Or was it something weirder than that? Yeah, probably, although that sounds pretty weird in the first place. So I'm going to stop talking about that sort of thing. So first thing for the evening, what sort of beer would you like? I have a selection this year. This year? Good Lord. So we have a Hop Hunter Session IPA, which I'm quite partial to, from Havercraft. No, Haverwood craft beer. That's Lidl's favourite craft beer, that is. I've got, from the Norfolk Brew House, a Moongazer, a golden ale, for you more bearded gentlemen out there. Or probably tipping the scales, we have a good old Norfolk Cock. It's a strong ale. If you want to knock me out, that's probably the one. So, you know, votes please. Last time I did that, nobody really gave a monkey, so I just drank whatever was nearest, which is fine. I'll do that again. But if you wish to vote, then please do. And we'll come back to this in half a second. So, who do we have? Hello. Oh, sorry, hello. I'm going to wave at my computer over here. Oh, that's just genius. I'm so on this. I can feel it. So, hi everybody, hello, thank you. Yes, the shirt is a classic, actually. I think you'll find this goes way back to earlier reviews of Bitwig and all sorts of things. Now, you will be pleased to hear that I have in the sales, in the Joe Brown sales where I get my shirts from, and they even sent me a little voucher for my birthday a few weeks ago. I was able to couple together just enough piles of pennies to order a couple of new shirts, so they'll be along. I was hoping they might be here by today, but sadly they're going to have to be saved for 2019, so look out for that. But I have no shame about these sorts of things. I'm quite happy to keep regurgitating the same shirts over and over again and surprising everyone with my choice, I suppose. You know, well, I'll keep going until they get so threadbare that the buttons fall out, but such is my way with fashion, I suppose. So yes, a couple of new shirts to look forward to in the new year. Yes. R2D2. Oh, what you mean, the bleeping? Yeah, could be. I mean, he was a modular head, wasn't he? I mean, it was the drugs that got him down in the end, really. I mean, he spent that whole time just zoned out of his mind because he had too much of the bleeping, too much patching, too much of that goldenrod. And yeah, as you can imagine, the rest is just a disaster. But you know, we always admire his early work. That's the thing. That's what you hang on to, really, is listening to those early tunes and thinking, yeah. I mean, he had something there. He definitely had something. Thank you. That sounded good. Yes. Thank you. Aliens have been summoned. Where's my beer? I did my beer. There we go. Red wine, eh? Yes. Red wine usually means it's going to come to a quick end, as far as I'm concerned. Little beers, yeah, good man, well done. They are really cheap, yes. You haven't a Zero Coast IPA. I sold my Zero Coast. I mean, that's something from 2018. I sold my No Coast. Wow. I don't think people are supposed to do that, are they? It's the same with the Cloud. You see, I sold my Clouds. There was ripples of outrage throughout the industry over that debacle. But no, I've sold my No Coast as well. I just don't care. just don't care. I just don't care. Go for the Norfolk Cockney has a silly name. Yes. Martin, you and I are on Modulism 2. Have I had a chance to listen to it? There's some great tracks on it. I've listened to it a little bit. Listen to my track, obviously. I sit there with it on repeat going, oh, wow, I'm awesome. But no, I have had a glance at it, but I was quite annoyed because, you know, I listen to most of my music in the car, and putting music onto my phone or some other device to then get it in the car and then mess that about and then get it to play is quite a struggle. Well, it's just not instant. I can't be doing with it. It's a bit too much of a faff. And so I just like a CD. So I put a CD in the car and it plays. But sadly, Modulism 2 was not released on CD, which also ruined a lot of Christmas presents I had planned also. But well, there you go. I mean, so I'm planning to put it onto CD so I can do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. I have bought some CDs in order to do it. because I'd run out. But so yeah, so I haven't listened to it all the way through. I've listened to probably about half the second CD, all the stuff kind of around me. I suppose mainly just to go, do I really sound like horrible in compared to anything else? And I just listened to a couple of tracks before. Oh no, it's all right. Then it's me going, oh yeah, I'm not really sure about that. And then there's some more tracks, and I go, well, you know, I can get away with it, I think. So I kind of just wanted to reassure myself that I could get away with it. And I think I did. So, presumably, Martin, you've listened to it. So what did you think of my track? What did you think? Anybody else out there has picked it up? A Modularism 2 from Law & Order Records. There's only a tenner for 30-odd tracks by extraordinary artists that fill your life and your mind and your world with modular sounds. What could be better than that? Yeah, what could be better than that? CDs are in that awkward, not quite retro, just outdated phase. Yeah, maybe, but they're useful. I mean, I'm a very pragmatic often, and that is something's useful. I don't mind using it, even if it's really, you know, out of date or not really quite cool. CDs just work in a lot of situations. It's like I'm a big fan of 3D movies, man. Big fan of 3D. And we recently got a new telly because our old one was just, I think the words were too small. I don't know. But we got a slightly bigger one, and you can't buy them with 3D anymore. I don't quite know what to do with myself. I have this massive library of 3D Blu-rays, and it's like, well, I can't watch them. That's really frustrating. Even though apparently the world has rejected 3D. I don't know. I don't know why. I really enjoy it. I really, really like it. So much so I invite people around to watch them. But apparently no, it's not a thing anymore. So you can't get a telly with it on. So I've had to find a projector. Well, I had to replace my projector anyway because it blew up, and so I had to find one of those that had 3D on it instead. And so whenever I want to watch a 3D movie, I have to do the whole rigmarole of bringing I've got a screen, and you know, it's just a thing, man. But oh well. But you know, as I say, if it's something that I like, I do it. So CDs work for me also, and it also similarly for the kids. You see, the kids in the car, if they put on an MP3 player, it could have a gazillion songs on there. We could be there all week listening to that thing. Whereas CDs, you know, it plays its 12 to 20 tracks, and then when it hits number one again, you go, oh, we've heard this. Whew, throw that out and put on a bit more modularism. See, it works. It works as a concept. I've always thought that. Thought mine was good. Great, good answer. Well done. Good, excellent. So, someone has actually asked a question, so let's deal with that before we get into the best ofs, I think. And that's, how am I feeling about the generator? Yeah, interesting. I took it along to a synth meet in December and sat there and played with it. And that's always worthwhile, sitting down with an evening, you know, playing with it, trying to show it and demonstrate it to other people in bits and pieces. That's really helpful. Now, I have to write a review on it for Sound on Sound magazine. So that's interesting. So my next week really is focused purely on that. I kind of know what I want to say. I've got the measure of it, I think. But I have to put it down into sort of the language that Sound on Sound readers recognise, which is complicated and weird. I mean, it's my sister-in-law, I'm not quite sure, family were here yesterday, and I was showing her one of my articles in Sound on Sound magazine because it was the stage light review I had in there, and just, you know, showing off as one does, and she kind of read the first sentence, which is just gobbledygook, complete, like, whew, to someone who has no idea what any of this stuff is. It does not make any sense at all. I mean, amazingly so. I must have put in every single weird word I could think of, because you need a good opening sentence. So yeah, I'm a big believer of that. But you know, Sound on Sound is one of those magazines that you have to read for probably 6 months before you start tuning in to the actual language that they're using. And I've found that as someone in the industry, because I've used to subscribe to it and then didn't for a while, and then coming back into it, you're going, oh, just what does? Oh my goodness. So yeah. So yeah, I'm doing that. So what am I thinking of it so far? It's good. What I'm finding, oddly, is I really like 4 notes. Why do I really like 4 notes? I've got 16 notes I can have here, 3 lots of 16 notes, and I'm stuck on this. I've got 4 notes. There they go. Anyway, yes. So 4 notes. For some reason, I'm just obsessed by 4 notes. I don't know what to say about that, but otherwise, yeah, it's doing good. I found a couple of slight weirdnesses in that putting the start and end point up and down sometimes doesn't always hit it. It's like it misses it. You're putting the end point down and it misses it and continues going and catches it up next time. You know, little things like that. Perhaps a little bit of weirdness from time to time. But other than that, no, I'm enjoying it. It's a different way of working. That's the thing. So I'm also in the middle in my head of doing my lattice review here, which is a very different sequencer, and they're very different feels. There's a certain feel to the generator. It has this thing going on, which is awesome. I mean, it's a delightful thing, but it's also unexpected, and may initially feel restrictive, but it's not. It's because it's doing its thing. You can have it doing 3 different things, or you can have it doing sort of one thing in 3 different directions. How am I going to write that down? I don't know, you have to read all about it in probably March's Sound on Sound, I suspect. Anyway, so a beer then. Somebody mentioned the Norfolk Cock because of the amusing name. See this? It's a chicken. Yeah, there's that one. The Moon Gazer, which is quite nice. I remember having a keg of Moon Gazer for a party once upon a time, and that's quite nice. It's golden ale. Or this, which is the easily drinkable one. I don't know. What do you think? Let's have a look. Yes, thank you. Is thus unique. Although I have to say, I'm convinced that I put thus in there. I don't think that was me. I think that was the editor. Because the thing with Sound on Sound that I haven't found in other things that I do is that they actually read it and edit it. So they do things like that. Yes, a door forged in the fire of Windows multi-touch interface. I did say that. Just the word thus. I'm not sure I was exactly that pretentious, but it comes across that way in the magazine. So yes, thank you for that. Yes. Don't worry too much. All right, I won't. That's fine. So nobody cares about the beer. Well, you know, I'm actually feeling a bit rough, so maybe I'll just go for this one and start farting around with the other stuff. If I get to drink this, I'm still feeling good. Then I'll start on the cock. That sounds like a plan. Let's do that. So, what shall we talk about first for the best of 2018? Can anybody remember what any of that stuff was? I'm not sure that I can. I'll probably have to bring something up in order to show myself what that was. So, do what? Okay. How do I make that go back to where I want it? Oh, there. Okay. Oh. So, let's talk about... Why don't we talk about synthesizers? Let's have a look. What sort of synthesizers were available this year? What was your favourite synth of the year? Let's go there. So, best of 2018. Best. Come on. Rub out. No. Oh, I've broken it. Oh, thank you. There you go. Best synth. Whoop. So current topic. Current topic is the idea of this. Trying to get some order into this crazy talkiness. So best synthesizers. Now I've got my top 5 synthesizers here. Let's talk about those to start with. So the Moog 1. Moog 1 I've got at the top. Moog 1. Now, I've never seen one. I've never played one. I've never played a memory Moog either. I did enter a competition and win one in a raffle once, but no, my number didn't come up. But I thought, my feelings were that when that arrived, it was exactly what Moog needed to do. I'm fully aware of the price of Behringer synthesizers. I know what they're doing, I understand the plan, and I kind of get what Moog are doing as well, because they're going, well, why would we be dragged down to that level? I'm not talking about level of quality or sound or anything like that, just a level of business. It's a different thing, it's a different model for a different person. I don't believe that many regular punters like you and I would be coming up with a Moog 1 anytime soon. But the heads in studios, I mean, people running proper studios and making proper money. Yeah, all those people on Facebook you see with racks and racks of synthesizers, they'd have one, wouldn't they? I mean, you'd have to have one, wouldn't you? Really? Because it's a solid, massive, wooden, digital, hybrid, analog thing with polymorphic, what's it? I mean, it's a huge, beautiful piece of equipment. It would look amazing. It wouldn't look any good in my shed because there's nowhere to put it. There's really, I mean, I've got room for a bass station. That's really about it. Even my my 49 key controller thing I have to keep under the desk because there's just nowhere to put it. When I bring it out, I've got to clear everything away. So yeah, although it's a sort of thing I guess I could put in the house. I've often thought about putting a modular in the house. That would be really nice to have it sort of in the corner somewhere, just beeping away, that people could look at and go, wow, that's interesting, tell me about that. And I could go, whoa, man, you know, it's this, this and this. And they go, wow, that's amazing, let's have sex. You know, that kind of conversation you imagine would happen. But the Moog 1 just really appealed to me as exactly the sort of thing that Moog Music needs to do. It needed a massive polysynth. Not a great big cabinet with things, you know, that's fine. I don't really care for Moog Modular, if I'm honest. It doesn't really excite me particularly. It's a bit too clunky and chunky, whereas a good, you know, screaming synthesizer that just goes wow, yeah, I think that's awesome, because that's what they do. They do synthesizers, things with keyboards. That's what Moog are best at. You know, don't worry about the non-keyboard stuff, modular stuff. Yeah, something else. But the keyboard is exactly what they're doing. A musical instrument. That's what they're best at producing, I think. And the Moog 1, yeah, it's a dream of a synth. I think 3-part multi-timbral to get 3 things going at once. That's not a whole lot, but oh, great with my generator. Look, 3 channels, 3 things. Yeah, good. 8 or 16 voice of polyphony. You can get whole chords in there. Yeah, I really like the idea of that. And I did also thoroughly enjoy the promotional video. I mean, it was a bit trippy and out there, which is great. That's what I like. Trippy and out there. Spot on. Yeah, fantastic. Get some weirdos to talk about it and pretend like it's the best thing you've ever heard. Because synthesizers sound fantastic these days. God, they really do. So, Moog 1, what do you all feel about that? DFAM, so somebody, yeah, no, DFAM, honestly, really? DFAM? Hang on, let me sort my hair out. I need a haircut, I think. Oh, that's a bit better. If I get it to stick there. No, it's not going to stick. Okay. But never mind. DFAM. Yeah, I mean, I get the DFAM, I guess. No, I don't actually. No, I probably don't get the DFAM. That's the problem. Yeah. I remember Mylar Meneley's going on about how the DFAM's the best thing ever. And no, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. I think if you sat in the Moog factory and built one like you did at Moogfest, then that would be flipping awesome. But otherwise, no. But I haven't explored it. I don't know. It's probably awesome. I don't know. I don't know about these things. I'm just some bloke. So, best synth Neutron. Oh, Andrew. Well, no, probably. Although, I thought it was quite funny that they released a firmware update for it. Because, you know, it's an analog synthesizer, I thought. So how does analog synthesizers get firmware updates? I must be, like, behind the curve or something. I don't know. What they do, send you a new capacitor? A new spool of wire? No, evidently I'm just an idiot. But, you know, so the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, okay, so it's broke, so fix it. Right, so the Neutron was a bit broken. Like the Model D, they had a firmware update for that as well. So, you know, both of them were released and a bit crappy. So they decided to update them a bit to make them slightly better. Great, which is good. I like that sort of level of support. But it doesn't fill me with the sense that it's a well thought out product in the first place. Excuse me, someone's trying to message me. Never mind. So yeah, no, undoubtedly, I'm sure the Neutron is great. It appealed to me more actually from the whole Behringer range of things. Although, what Behringer range of things? You kind of think about Behringer, you think, oh, they got a dozen synths out there. No, they haven't. They got the Model D and the Neutron. No, that's it. That's it. Deep Mind, okay, all right, different thing, but. As far as actual clones of anything, the Model D is it. That's all they've managed to produce. With all the bluster, with all the fuss, with all the fanfare, the talk, the legal battles, the cursing, the praising, people going mad for it, people going for it. All they've ever done is produced a little weenie Model D with really weenie knobs. Does that sum up Behringer somehow? I don't know. Where are they? Where are they all? So, yeah, and the Neutron, at least from my perspective, was something of theirs. I mean, of course it's using the same technology as everybody else. Everybody else is using those same bloody oscillators, the same 3340 bits and pieces all jammed in there. Everybody's using the same stuff. It doesn't matter. That's okay. I don't mind. But I like the Neutron because it was something that they had designed and they had made their own decisions on where things go. And that's what a company should be doing. They should be making their own decisions, not just mimicking what somebody else has done, I think. Not that I don't want lots of really cool synthesizers, because I do. That's not, I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, we're talking about what we thought was the best in 2018. So, yeah, maybe. It was interesting, certainly. Certainly the best thing that Behringer did, because they actually did very little, I have to say. 2019 might be a whole different kettle of fish, but 2018 is not really their year, I don't think. It's a year of talk. Year of talk and bluster. Okay. VCV rack, yeah, I'm not. We're talking hardware synth at the moment. I know I just put synth here, but hardware is assumed. We'll get back to VCV rack, I think. I don't think thus sounds like me. I thought it would have been deliberately pretentious. Although not to say that I'm not. Am I? I don't know. No, they didn't deliver quite a bit. I don't think they did. I don't think Behringer delivered quite a bit at all. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. It's like somebody, I mean, I wrote a thing about that and I completely forgot about the vocoder. Because the vocoder's not out either. So there's seven synthesizers that Behringer are currently making, none of which are available. 7. That's a lot. That's a lot, considering they only have three in total available. So 10 synths altogether, 3 of which are available, the rest are just vaporware. There we go. Yeah, Gary, no, those are all software synths. We'll come to best hard synth. Come on, stick with the program. Oh, I must hate Novation. Is that talking to me? I quite like Novation. What, because they don't release any synthesizers? Yeah, no, they haven't released any synthesizers in 1984, which is a shame. Because I am squeaking still on a base station 2, which is decades old now, I think. I don't know. No, I've not really, I don't really see Novation as a synth company anymore. They used to be, certainly, but yeah, they're much more of a controller company. No, but that's not right because of the Peak. Now they've come back, haven't they, with the Peak? People really rate the Peak. I've only had a very little go on it. Had a go on it at, it might have been Super Booth. It could have been Synthfest. I can't quite remember now. But yeah, it was all right. I didn't get very much time to play on it, I have to say. But no, people have. I've heard lots of really good things about it, which is nice. Just wait, Gary. All right, wait. We'll get to software in a minute. You know, I mean, I'm the software hardware man. I flip both ways. I go both sides. I find satisfaction in both ways of looking at things. Oh, did somebody mention? Oh, they did. See, somebody mentioned can't speak. I can't say it. Electron. Yes, the Digi one or the Digitone. Yeah, no, I can't get excited about it. I mean, I'll put in at this point. How are we? Half an hour in. Okay, half an hour in. I'll just make this statement to say that I will be undoubtedly critical of your choices. Now, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that your choices aren't awesome for you. But I'm here just to share a bit of opinion and stir the pot a bit. And so the potential of me insulting you directly to your face is quite high. And I don't mean nothing by it. I mean, I've been drinking a beer, so it'll get worse as we go. But I'm just sharing a stark, heartfelt opinions. And it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that I'm the authority on anything in particular. You are the authority on what it is that you want and what you want to have and stuff. So Electron, no, they don't excite me at all. They're just little plastic boxes that, I don't know, I don't want a plastic box like that. I like stretching things out, and then I like putting things together, and I like things with keyboards, I like things without keyboards. I don't really like plastic boxes with little screens very much. I don't like them. I'm upset by the whole Overbridge thing, because Overbridge looks like a really interesting piece of software, and it annoys me when people promise something which then never ever materializes. It's really annoying. So I feel for the people who have these products, because they're being shortchanged, I think, or badly served by these companies. However, many people like these strange BT boxes, and that's cool. That's cool. You go with that. You go with that. Yeah, I tried a grandmother. I did. I had to play with one at the Synthfest. Yes. Yeah, it was all right. It's kind of big. I mean, it had the same sort of feel as my base station 2, as in sort of thick, chunky plastic kind of feel to it, which for a Moog product is a little disappointing. It's big. I mean, again, it would look quite good in your living room on a stand, you know, especially with a couple of patch cables sticking out of it. I think that'd be, yeah, I think we go. I think it was a nice, again, it was a good product for Moog to come out with. Terrible name. They could have gone with anything else, would have been much groovier, but I think it looks awesome. I love the modular stylings of it, and the fact that you don't need to patch anything to play it. You can just play it. You know, a couple of little features in there, great. If you had a couple of guitar pedals with it, even more glorious, I think. So let me have a quick look and see what other hardware I put down. See, look, I put down a Behringer Neutron as one of the best of the year. I've just talked myself out of that one. Oh yeah, up and down, can't all be right. Korg Prologue. Now that was released way back at the beginning of the year at NAMM. In fact, it was leaked a little bit before NAMM. I really like it. I really like it because it reminds me of what I would call a proper keyboard synthesizer. It's got a nice big keyboard, it's got wooden sides, it's dark, it's got knobs on. I guess in my head what I view as a proper synthesizer is the Prophet 5. It will always be the Prophet 5. And so the Prologue has shades of that. It reflects that, and I like it. It has enough knobs to make it feel like you've got everything there on the surface, even though it's not. And it has interesting stuff going on, and you know that when you stick a bunch of fingers down, it's going to sound pretty good. Pretty good. Usable, that you would use it as a synthesizer. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, I really like the Minilog. I thought it looked a bit weird. I thought the balance of the controls and the look and the layout of the Minilog was just a bit too weird. Otherwise, I really liked it. The Monolog, have I got this right around? The smaller one is better, balanced better. And the Prologue, much better balanced, where the controls are and things like that. So I think, you know, even better. than all that. And all the interesting stuff going on with the oscillators. That third oscillator that you can jam your own stuff into. Very interesting. If you could ever be bothered to get beneath the surface, which I imagine I wouldn't. The other one I would say would be the Mini Brute. The Mini Brute 2 and 2S. Probably should be done together because they released them together, and I think it was a very brave and interesting idea to have a monosynth, which by itself, great little keyboard, little monosynth, fabulous, liked all of that. Yeah, it worked alright, base station styly, that kind of thing. It's got its own little Arturia things going on with its Steiner-Parker filter and its brute factor. And then with the S version, where you've got this little sort of sequencer, step sequencer thing built in, which is great. I'd be really interested to know what the balance of sales is like, whether they sold more of one than the other. I mean, the idea being that not everyone plays a keyboard, and particularly if it's a synth. I mean, if you have a workstation keyboard that's got lots of different sounds in, then having a keyboard is great because you can play all sorts of different sorts of sounds on it. But with a mono synth, you are looking to play some kind of single melody, and maybe that's better done on a sequencer. Maybe for many people. Who knows? But I thought that was really interesting. I also thought that their step into Eurorack was also quite interesting. And it seems to have had a huge effect because you see those cases everywhere. The Rack Brute cases, yeah, they really caught people's imagination, I think. And I think people saw it, a major company releasing a Eurorack case, that means I can buy it and it's going to work because there are accepted levels of support and backup in place because I can buy it from a real shop. Whereas previous to that, a lot of Eurorack cases are all kind of, whoa, I don't know what I'm doing, I've got to choose this bit and that bit, and I've got to wire it together and make it work. What's that about? And we're still at that point. And so Arturia doing the Rack Brute, I think, was genius because it made it look a whole lot more friendly. Now, I mean, they were stupid to have a 4 HP power supply thing in there. I mean, that was ridiculous. But other than that slight misstep, it's a great way. It's a great case. Folds up, take it away. Good job. Really well done. Slightly disappointed that they didn't follow that up with their own modules. I'd like to see that. I think that would be fun. I'd like, you know, a Eurorack module that just says Brute Factor with a big knob on it. I think that would be good. I think that would be great. And finally, from my top 5, I suppose, would be... I don't know, what do you think? What do you think? Let's see what anybody else has said. That's... The DSi Rev 2 is a moonshot in a fox cup. I agree with that, I think. But it's not new, necessarily, is it? No, I don't think it is. No, the Prophet X is new, and we're not very sure about that, generally speaking as a whole. It seemed to be a sort of strange hybrid synthesizer for a certain group of people. That group of people really excludes me. You know, it's the same as a Kurzweil 2500, really. From the old days, where you'd have a bit of synth and a whole load of sampling stuck in, which seems like a good idea. And it is. It's a good idea for people working in studios who need to put those tracks down. But for the rest of us, I don't think it's particularly exploratory. I don't think it's particularly going to take you off to different dimensions. Because I think the Rompler style thing is just better done in software. You know, stick with your Dromar and your Spitfires and your and your Yuli stuff, all that kind of thing. Yes, the Base Station 2 did get a firmware update as well, yes. You see, because you're assuming that I'm consistent, obviously, which I'm not. You know, I will use one thing to criticize one company with and use exactly the same thing to praise another company with. Because I'm wild and crazy out there, man. I'm just full of paradox, full of this wrestling between, you know, dark and light, good and evil, are all burbling inside me like so much beer. So yes, you're right. Can you put your neutron in the Rack Brute? Because of the 4 HP you lose, because of the power supply? Doesn't that make that not work? Or maybe you've got the 6U one, which case you can put it underneath. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there as one of the, you know, the misses that Arturia did with that. Yeah, I agree. The Steiner Parker filter in the Brute Factor as a module, yes, that would be awesome, I think. Why don't they do that? They must be doing that. I mean, we've got NAMM coming up a month away from a whole, presumably, stack of whole new hardware. That's got to be something, isn't it? Got to be. Got to be. No one at Arturia talked to me about it. They keep things close to their chest. The only thing I've ever got out of them was pigments, which was cool. We should come to that. We'll come to that in a minute. Still talking about hardware. Just finishing off the hardware. Any other comments on hardware synthesizers then? Oh, I've reached the bottom of all that nonsense. So let's just make sure I haven't missed anything proper. The Moog Voyager. Yeah, that was 20 years ago, mate. Yeah, oh yeah, the last one. Yes, there's one more I wanted to mention, which is the Dreadbox Medusa. Now, this has seen some very polarizing coverage. I know some people who are big synthesizer heads who think the Medusa's just awful. And that's okay. All right, that's okay. I mean, I think it looked interesting because Polyend have done some interesting things. Their sequencer certainly is interesting, and putting that kind of technology into it makes for a very interesting place to play. I mean, this huge, half of it being this massive grid, 8x8 grid, is quite extraordinary, really. There's lots of stuff you can use that for. I mean, the synthesizer by itself is also very different. It's not what you expect it to be. It's not just an analog synthesizer. There's a whole load of other stuff going on there as well, and a lot of it is paginated. So all the controls you have on the front are not necessarily controlling everything. You have to step through things and choose different things, and then you've got the filter. So it's not necessarily representative exactly of what's going on, and perhaps that is what annoys some more of the people who are into pure synthesis. Or perhaps it's the expectation of that. I don't know, but as a piece of gear, what it looks like, I think it's a beautiful piece of work. But I've never played with one, so I can't really comment exactly on how good it is. But it looked good to me, and I've certainly heard some good things about it. Heard some great demos, which is something they didn't do very well themselves. I always find that strange when a company is releasing something and their demos are a bit crap. Why doesn't anybody tell them? I'm sure people tell them. But why don't people tell them before they release it? I don't know. But then we come back to the whole thing of, well, they need to send it out to a bunch of really cool YouTubers who will then show it exactly how it should be. And that brings us back again to that argument over whether that's a good thing or not. Oh, I know, it's just gear, innit? So, yeah, so that was hardware. So, good. Okay, so we've established hardware. Should we do soft synths next then, as we have at least one person who's interested in that? So let's rub that bit out. And for anyone who's interested, the Surface Pro 6, yes, it can run OneNote. Yes, it can, and you can write on it. Because I seem to get asked every day, well, can the Surface Pro 6 run this piece of software? If there's any Surface viewers watching, you're very, very welcome here. I know that some of the talk is a little bit hardware focused and synthesizer focused, but we also talk about the Surface 2. And I would just like to get out there before you ask that it's a computer, right? The Surface Pro 6 is a computer. Therefore, it runs software that runs on computers. So whatever piece of software you want to run on it, you can run on it. It's just a computer, you know. The question of how well, it depends on what you're doing. If you want to run 1,000 plugins, no, maybe not, but it depends on what that plugin is. If you want to run a couple of instances of something quite intense, yeah, it'll probably work. So the question of where, will this run Ableton Live? Yes. Would it run Reason 10? Yes. Would it run Cubase 10? Yes. Pro Tools? Yes. Studio One? Yes. I'll keep saying yes the whole time because it will run all of those things. But as I say, the performance of it will just depend on what you want to do, as the same with any computer, because it's just a computer. Now, in 2019, hopefully in January, I hope to do it in January, I'm going to be doing a lot more intensive testing on it. I will try to run a whole load of different virtual instruments and plugins to try to get a better measure of what it can do, and also dive deeper into how to get the best out of it. Because I've heard people having trouble with things like ASIO for All and stuff like that, so I'm going to need to do a bit more investigation into it. So I plan to release a load more videos, or at least one massive awesome video about performance testing on virtual instruments and effects, and running it with audio interfaces, without audio interfaces, all the stuff you need to know about the Surface Pro 6, because I've only done a couple of videos so far which just got the basics out there, just got the basic tweaks and the basic, yes it can run stuff, let's get on with it. I need to do some more stuff, and I will. That's one of my resolutions for 2019. If you can remember all the resolutions, everything I say is a resolution, you remember those and we'll write them down at the end, and I'll then non-committally commit to them. What are we doing then? Oh yeah, soft synths. Okay, so alright, talk among yourselves, have a think. Software synthesizers, what were your top ones for 2018? Now remember, it has to have come out in 2018. That's the idea, that's what we're looking for. New gear, not stuff that's been out forever. I don't want to hear Serum or Omnisphere 2, you know. Although, okay, here's a question. Is anybody out there using Omnisphere 2.5 and the hardware connection thing that it does? And what is that like? If there's anybody there who's doing that, share in the comments, and I'll just have a quick look to see what it was that I said for synths. Software synthesizers, top 5 soft synths. Here we go. So while you're thinking about that, I'm going to talk about FM. Now, there's been a lot of FM. It knocks around. It's just, it doesn't seem to go away, which is interesting, because FM was my way into synthesis really when I was a kid, through a DX100. It was the first proper synthesizer that I used, and I used to program it as a teenager, I think 12, 13-year-old. And I don't remember it being hard. I remember not really understanding what I was doing, but you program through moving parameters and seeing what happens. That's what you do. There seems to be a theme that FM, frequency modulation, is very difficult, and so we need help. So a lot of software and hardware, I suppose. I mean, there's the Digi, what's it, is an FM synth. So, but software we're talking about at the moment, there seems to be a move to make FM as simple as possible, to take away all of the parameters and just give you a couple of things to play with. And that's all right. It's just a little bit patronizing, I think. But there's been a lot of FM synths, and there was two in particular that caught my eye, I suppose, and that was Wasleo FM, which is weirdly named, and a really great sort of Battle Zone 1980s vibe going on with that one, which I quite enjoyed, and the other one was Waves Flow Motion. Now, these both attempt to make life simple for you by kind of combining parameters together so that you can control them all with a single knob. So you've only got like half a dozen knobs rather than 40 knobs, which is the sort of thing you need. I mean, if I remember back to my DX100, it had about 40 buttons, and under each button was at least a couple of different parameters that you would move about, I think. So I guess having a dozen knobs is cool. That brings a whole of that stuff together. And I can't remember what it was all about either. It seemed to be, it was about operators and the way operators were and how modulators affected them and the shape that they were in. But I would often just be working on trying to get these four things to go in different directions. So I really liked the envelope modulations you do on 4 different operators to send them off to different places. I used to think that was most fun. I do a lot of that because I liked evolving sounds, and so that's mostly what I programmed, I seem to remember. So yes, back to software. So there's a lot of it about. There's a lot of this. Let's do FM easily, but let's also add subtractive elements so that we feel at home and so it's friendly. So you've got an FM engine which you then stuff through a filter. Now FM is kinda all about creating harmonics. It's all about bashing these sounds together to create other sounds and to introduce harmonics as that's happening, to detune and unison things to create these other bits coming out. And a filter kind of does the opposite. A filter takes all those things out. So in some ways it's kind of wrestling with itself. But we do understand how filters work, and I think having those in there just makes it more usable. Otherwise you're sitting there going plinkly plonk, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Oh, a filter, now I know what I'm doing. Yes. So it's there as kind of a crowd pleaser. That's what I think. And that's no bad thing, because we all like to be pleased, don't we? So yes, Wasleo FM and Waves Flow Motion. Flow Motion have this fabulous interface with all these circles pointing at each other, one for each operator, and then you can push modulators around to do stuff. A visual interface, I think, is ideal, particularly in software, because that's what software can do well. It's difficult to do that on a piece of hardware, but in a software interface, yeah, make it go crazy. Why have a knob when you can have, a 3-dimensional, 5-dimensional moving space? Do that. Yeah, definitely. So I really enjoyed that about the Flow Motion one. The Wasleo one is much more basic in that regard, but I even spoke to the developer about this, and he said, look here, mate, you can't put me on the same level as Flow Motion. Flow Motion's rubbish. Well, everybody, of course, each manufacturer would say that. But his claim was that the unison mode within Wasleo FM was far, far more advanced than the Flow Motion one. And he even sent me pictures of sort of spectrograph things to prove it, which I thought was really interesting. I had no idea what they meant, but they were very interesting. So the sound quality within Wasleo is probably the better one. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if I can pick this up without breaking everything. That fella, Wasleo, that's Wasleo FM. That's Flow Motion. Yeah? Waves. Some weird thing called Wasleo. But if you're into FM, check that out. Because I mean, FM is different things to different people. I mean, to me, other than in DX style things, FM is wobbling stuff, isn't it? It's wobbling the frequency. So vibrato, as opposed to tremolo, vibrato, you're wobbling the pitch up and down a little bit. And I like doing that in here. I mean, I used to do that. I remember I used to do it on DX100 as well, for that matter, because you had the little modulation wheel that you'd push up a little bit, just to give your pan flute a little bit of vibrato. Oh yes, yes, that was lovely. Yes. So, quick back to the comments. Okay, so somebody did buy a base station 2 for Omnisphere Control. How was that? Foxtots Brunel. Does that mean you're in the Netherlands, or does that mean you're in Brussels? I don't really know. Pigment, somebody said. Okay, let me just rewind. The Model D will fit in the Moog rack. Is the 60 HP ones. The Neutron, I think, is bigger than that. So you'd need the this one, which is the 104, I suppose. Okay, down a bit. Where are we? Howard Jones is using it. Is he here? Is he here? Is he online? Can you give him a poke and say, come and tell us about it? I mean, because I get it, I think. I mean, when it came out, when they announced it at NAMM earlier in the year, I couldn't work out what it was about. What, you're using a hardware as a MIDI controller? I mean, big whoopee-doo. You know, ooh, really? That sounds... No, it doesn't sound very exciting. But then, looking at it into more depth, I can kind of see, I think, what they're trying to do so that your software environment feels like using your hardware environment. And what I'm interested in finding out is, does that illusion hold? Does that work? I guess is all I'm is all I'm after, because I don't see how it would work for me. I don't know. I mean, maybe it would. I mean, because as long as you're focused on the hardware and moving stuff, and then your expectation of what each knob does is being, you know, mirrored in what you hear. Yeah, interesting. But I don't have Atmosphere 2. Yeah, but maybe I will at some point. I don't know. I'll have a look into that. I haven't looked, just as a side, I haven't looked at ASIO for All on the Surface Pro 6 yet. I plan to in my next series of videos. I've heard that some people have had trouble with it, so I will look at it deeply and report back on my findings. I haven't done it yet, as I say. Anyway, back to software. VCV Rack, yeah, of course. Everyone talks about VCV Rack. And I kind of really liked it in the early days. Well, I didn't or I didn't, because in the early days of it, my experience of Eurorack was quite small, and so I didn't really know what I was doing in there either. My feelings with it is that it's become its own thing. I don't think it mirrors Eurorack anymore, particularly. It seems to have become its own way of doing things. A bit like Reactor is, or Audulus, things like that, because they're software, because they're repeatable, because they're savable, because you can duplicate things and have masses and masses of these things running. That has an effect, I think, on how you perceive it and how you use it. So VCV Rack has become its own ecosystem, its own thing, and it's not something that I've spent a whole lot of time in, I have to say. But I can see that, you know, I mean, awesome! What a great learning tool! What a great way to step into Eurorack, and the idea. Well, we forget Eurorack, but the ideas of control voltage, the ideas of how signal work, things like that. What an awesome place! But because it doesn't have the restrictive boundaries that hardware has, it then, as I say, it becomes its own thing, which is neither good nor bad. I'm not saying it's either, but it's not something I've spent any more time in. So what else did I think of was good? Track 01. Now this I thought would be an interesting choice, because it wouldn't be seen necessarily as a great synth, which is a shame, because it is. It is. Another time, please. Thank you. The little mono bass synth engine within Track 01 from Native Instruments is phenomenal. It's great. I mean, the layout of it, the simplicity of it, the fact that it's all mostly there, you can see what's going on, the animation of the oscillations and the modulation going on, that I thought was brilliantly done. So you can spend time just in the bass synth, just mucking stuff about, because you can also run a sequence going through it. You know, it becomes very much like a 303, where you run a sequence. You're not worried about trying to play notes. You're not worried about that kind of input. You're just setting it running, and then you're modulating and changing and mixing that in, and then adding that to a step and that kind of thing. That was really, really interesting. And the kick side to it, which seems very restrictive, oh, well, I've just got a kick sound. Well, actually, you can get all sorts of sounds out of there. And then the other flip side to that is that actually that's a lot of all you need. You've got a kick going on with a little bit of other percussion, perhaps working in there, and this bass sound. Wow. It was great. It was just really good. I mean, playing with it would bring a smile to my face, and I would lose myself for hours in the thing. It was great, really, really, really good, and that for me is why it's awesome. I mean, it's not the most versatile thing in the world. Obviously, it's quite restrictive in of itself, but because you could get into it so easily, you could get decent sounds and decent stuff out of it without trying too hard, and you could see what was happening. You could see, you could move, you know, sample endpoints about and see that happening. You could see the envelope that you're applying to it. You could see the modulation going on. And I find all of those things enormously helpful. And that was there in spades in Track 01. Simple, good, groovy. You could run a gig just on that simple thing by itself, you know, providing your audience are idiots. And that works for me. That works for me. Something more complicated that I thought was good this year was the Cypher 2. from F-Expansion. F-Expansion recently swallowed up by Rolly, and so all their stuff is becoming MPE compatible. And Cypher 2 was their big move from Cypher to Cypher 2, was to include 5 dimensions of control and expression. And they did that awesomely. I mean, wow sounds coming out of that stuff, just in every conceivable direction, moving around as you're doing your thing with your thing, and you know, I mean, it's complex. It's not a simple thing, because, like I said, you know, I like things to be really simple and easy, and now I don't like things to be simple and easy. You know, I enjoy both these things. I enjoy the fact that it's too complicated for me to have a clue as to what's going on. There's so much on the screen that you're going, whoa, blah, 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 blah. But the potential within that, if you can be bothered, you can spend the time really getting to grips with it, then I think it could be capable of producing some extraordinary sounds in there. This whole transmod engine, which I don't really understand, is just the way that you can apply modulators in different directions and then sequence it and arpeggiate it in different dimensions as well. Ooh. I mean, heavy stuff. It's not going to be a simple sit down and get into it kind of thing. It's the sort of thing you'll have to scratch your head about, I reckon. Or just, you know, surf through the presets and just be amazed. But some of the sounds coming out of there, yeah, amazing. It makes you think that maybe having a Rolly keyboard would be no bad thing. Or some other alternative MPE type controller. I mean, I have a little Rolly keyboard which allows me to test these sort of things out, and I don't know if it's the kind of thing I would have purchased myself, but it is interesting, very, very interesting. So Cypher 2 F-Expansion, check that one out. And you don't have to have an MPE controller either. You can use it in 3 dimensions or 2 dimensions, whatever many dimensions it is we normally use these things with. It's still got all the sounds in there, and it's all possible to map to different things. You just can't do individual notes quite so well. Or you could use it within something like Cubase 10 or Bitwig, or something that really supports multi-dimensions really well, and then you could do it that way. Yeah, interesting. Now I know VCV Rack is the favourite, but I enjoyed the release of Voltage Modular very much. I don't know it's going to be there for another continuing on. I really don't know. I mean, Softube Modular, I think, manages to stay around because it's Softube, and they've got their fingers in 1,000 different pies all over the place, and so it can supplement and look after each other, and it's a useful thing for them to have within their arsenal, within their range of software. Excuse me. Voltage Modular, on the other hand, is their only product, and I think it's an uphill struggle for them to compete with Softube and VCV Rack. I mean, VCV Rack obviously is a huge thing, but again, it wasn't new in 2018, so Voltage Modular was my 2018 pick as far as Eurorack emulation goes, and it does it very well. There's some things about it which just drive me up the wall. The main one being how everything is flipping individual. I mean, if every function I had was individual on my Eurorack, I would never have enough room. I would not be able to create a sound in all the rack space that I have, because simple things like having an LFO within Voltage Modular, you get one LFO in a module. You get one VCA in a module. I mean, for heaven's sake, you know, they need to quad some stuff up, because you end up with, you know, oscillator, VCA, LFO, filter, all of these things kind of lined up in an enormous row that could easily be compacted down and have, you know, a 6-channel VCA, a 6-channel LFO, you know, that's spidering out to different things. Otherwise it just gets big, which I don't think is necessary. And also it then becomes compartmentalized. So I don't necessarily want an oscillator to go through its own thing and its own thing and its own thing. I would like the cross modulation. I like the fact I've got the Batumi in here, which is flashing away, which is modulating different things, because I can very quickly change things around, or accidentally change things around to modulate different things, or push the wrong slider up and get something else modulating faster than I thought it was going to, and they go, oh, that's terrible, or oh, that's really good. you can't do that. If you've compartmentalized it, you have less chance of accidental joy. And that's, I mean, that as a whole is the downside of software Eurorack anyway, is because you are likely to do that. You are likely to compartmentalize. You're likely to build entire synth voices up and down throughout it, rather than letting things stumble into each other because of the restrictions of your hardware. Yeah. But anyway, Voltage Modular. It started kind of a bit, oh, all right, yeah. They've got 70 different modules, and sort of 69 of them are slightly weird utility ones. Oh, there's an oscillator. Oh, there's a filter. Okay, I understand it a little bit now. But a lot of them are kind of what? Logic stuff and stuff to do with MIDI. But anyway, it's come along now. They've got good support from PCP AudioWare. There's a lot more modules in there now that are interesting and starting to get a bit quirky. Excuse me. And also with the latest version, they've released the module designer, so you can build your own modules. Stick your own modules in. Which is very cool. Now, I told myself to try to get through it being an hour. I haven't done it, sorry. I'll try harder. And then finally, before I say finally, let's just see what anybody out in comment land has said. La-da-da, and Synthy modules, okay. Yeah, I was a massive Howard Jones fan as a kid. Loved it, loved that stuff. Oh yeah, oh! Like to get to know you well. Okay, I even had the, well, I didn't have it. There was a guy who was living in our house who had the 12-inch remixes that had the Like to Get to Know You Well in lots of different languages, which was interesting, and I used to sing along to that in all sorts of strange... I can't do it now. But anyway, yes, Howard Jones, what a guy. Okay, JX3D loves Voltage Modular, well done, good stuff. Vote for Arminator. Yeah, Arminator's great, but again, not this year. Although Arminator 2 came out this year, didn't it? Could have done. But yeah, a great CS80 type little crackly plugin, which is great, and they give it away for free, and it's quite fantastic. Particularly if you've got a touchscreen, you can push the ribbon about. It's really, really nice. So yeah, Arminator is pretty good. The V collection is awesome, yes, but again, not new this year. I had to play with the Buchla. It annoys me slightly because the touch support within all of the V collection synths is kind of like 85% there, so it's mostly good, and then it just goes and messes you up for no suitably explored reason, or you can't get to a menu, or you can't change a preset for some reason. It's decided it can't work anymore on touch. But I don't think any of it's intentional. I don't think they have any touch implementation intentionally of any kind. It's just whatever it is that they're using to create these synths has a certain amount of touch response. But no, some great stuff in there that I need to spend more time with. The Fairlight emulation, I haven't looked into that because I'm an old Fairlight user. Well, kinda. Fairlight wannabe. Okay, yes, people coming in late. Honestly, there's no need to welcome these people. If they're late, they have to sit at the back. They have to sit at the back until they've earned their right to speak. Synclavier. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I have nothing interesting to say about it. No, I quite like gadgets, so, hang on. Just turning my heater off, it's getting a bit hot in here. No, I quite like gadgets on the iPad. The thing is, I have an iPad third generation iPad that was built, I think, in the 60s. And you get 2 gadgets going and it goes, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. Would you like to watch some Netflix? To which I usually say yes. Yes, please, thanks very much. So, yeah, no, cool gadget is fine. And particularly as it runs on the Wii. Not on the Wii, on the SNES. No, the other one. I can't remember. The Wii U? No, I mean, I don't have one, but I like the fact that it does. So no, like Korg Gadget's an awesome thing. Yeah, well done. Korg have done some great soft synth work. I mean, in fact, their old legacy collection of soft synths is amazing. I used to run it on a netbook. Do you remember netbooks? Little netbooks, little computers, little laptops called netbooks, we used to call them. And I had this one that could run it if you did the secret BIOS code to enable the overclock. So you were caning this poor little processor at about 1.3 and you could poke it up to 1.35 and then it would play crackle free Korg Legacy. Now this was, I did that in a gig for my 40th birthday, which was 8 years ago. So there you go. Rocking that for 8 years, man. Back on netbooks. So, is there any chance for Voltage Modular to go free? I don't think that's their model. That's the thing, because they're a bunch of old geezers from other software companies, and so they're a bit in the old school way of doing things, I think. So no, I don't think it is going to become free. I mean, you can use it for free. You just get noise or something. It blows up after 5 minutes, something like that. But no, I don't think it will. I don't think it's going to be one of those sorts of things. I mean, VCV Rack was always supposed to be a chargeable product because they were supposed to release version 1 over a year ago. It's just never quite got there. Because this is the beta, we're just still beta testing at the moment. So when it reaches version 1, all your presets you've been working on for years are all going to be disappeared. And it will become a subscription model. That's what will happen. Yeah, and then the world will explode in revolution. Voltage Modular will survive, yes. Reason has a software modular now. Yes, it does. Did I not add that to my best of? No, I don't think I did. Well, I can look, 'cause it's just here. Oh, there were some that didn't make the cut. Yeah, I mean, things like... what was that called? That was called Complex. Complex 1? Yeah, very nice. I like that. The whole thing with Reason and Modular, because Reason is like the secret hidden modular workstation we didn't know we had. Because it's always been there. From the very beginning, you had control voltage. And I remember when Reason came out, being a digital guy, being a software guy, going, what's all this CV? Do I care? Well, you had to care, because when you first loaded up something, like loaded up the redrum, it wouldn't make any noise. Excuse me. It wouldn't make any noise until you turned it over, and you had to physically wire the output of the drum into... Oh, I don't have a mixer. So I've got to add a mixer, turn it over, take the outputs, plug them in the mixer, take the output of the mixer, plug it into the output of the output, and then, oh, I can get a sound. So what I want to do now, I want to run... So, okay, got the redrum going, add the subtractive synth, okay, turn it over, wire that one in. Now, how do I play the subtractive synth? Okay, well, I'll have the matrix sequencer, put that in, turn it over, CV and gate into the back of the subtractive. So you're having to do it from the beginning, and it was always there. And at the time we thought, what a load of rubbish. This is such hard work. And in later versions, I think by version 4, it was all being automated, so you didn't have to mess around with any of that anymore. Which, thinking about it now, in some ways was a shame. But it's a natural, I think it's a natural reaction, it's a natural pushback against control voltage that's always been there. And it's only in recent times have we all sat back and gone, you know, that CV stuff, that's actually quite good. But you need to get out of your MIDI mindset, you need to get out of your digital mindset to find that out, because on the face of it, it's a lot more trouble than MIDI if you're just triggering notes. At least it appears to be, But once you start getting into proper modulation and adding and subtracting and logicking those things together, it gets very, very interesting. But we didn't know that it was interesting when playing with Reason originally. So anyway, fast forward to now, and they've introduced a modular synthesizer which brings those CV patches points to the front, which is brilliant, because that's where they need to be. I mean, I felt that when Reason 10 was being rumoured, that it would be so completely awesome if they brought all the patching to the front. Because with it being on the back, it's hidden away. It just is. I know it's there, it's still there, but it's hidden away and it's done automatically for you and you don't really think about it. Which is why it's so nice to have this thing on the front, so you can sit there and get absolutely no sound out of it at all. Because you're going, oh, hang on, oscillate output to mixer? Yeah, that sounds good. No, I want to go through the filter first, then to the mixer. Okay. But oh, how do I open the VCA? Oh, I need an envelope, and then I need to trigger that. You know. So we're back to not getting sound out for ages. Like how we like it in Eurorack, which is great. So yeah, I thought that was very impressive, and there's some fantastic presets and stuff in there, which is one of those situations where it's a great way to show you what's possible and the breadth of what's possible within modular synthesis. Although again, I mean, I don't know, do we notice? If we're software people, do we just chunk through presets? We don't really notice what all the knobs are doing, do we? Maybe it's a given. I don't know. Anyway, and they also released their other synth as a VST plugin, which I thought was awesome, because that's a really nice one too. But the other one I was thinking of, Human Live is 35 years old. Yes, thanks for that. Thank you. Thank you for that. The other one was Pigments, because it had just arrived, and I thought it was really nice. Now, you know, this whole business of stuff being pre-released to certain YouTubers who then release it all at the same time for marketing purposes, I think I've probably said enough on that. Unless anybody wants to pick me up on something that I said, that's fine. I'll happily talk about it some more, but I'm not going to go into it now, I don't think. Suffice to say, I got a copy of Pigments early, and I thought, sod it, I'll make a video and release it on release day. So I did. That's that story, really. And I shared what I thought was cool about it. And what I like about it is the visualization, because I'm really into that. In some ways, it's the one thing that Eurorack doesn't do so well. But I have the visualization of the fact that I know something is going to this knob. I know that something is going to this knob in this, and I can follow it down. I can see where that's coming from, and with a bit of luck, particularly with an LFO, I can see how fast it's going. So there is elements of that. But what's not happening is that this is not being automated like that, not being twisted by mechanically, whereas you can do that in software. And that's what I thought was good in Pigments, is that they really went for all of that. So you could see everything that was going about, you could see it all moving, and that was a delight. And it's enormously helpful, I find, that you can see what a modulator is doing, you can see how that's affecting another control, another parameter, and that all works brilliantly. And I thought Sequencer was really interesting too, and a great use of randomization. So that's why I liked Pigments in a nutshell. Not just the fact that they gave me a copy. I mean, also my copy is going to time out the same as everybody else's, so I got it early. I didn't get it for free, as it were. That makes sense. Yeah, so that's software. Any other thoughts on software before we move on to I don't know, what's next? Let's have a look at the comments. Things can only get better. That was D-Ream, wasn't it? Complex One, yes, that's right. Black Octosauce. Yeah, we'll come to modular in just a second. Dum 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 dum. Arminator 2 was this year. Yes, cool. Yes, no, enjoyed that tremendously. Enjoyed that. Although I played with the first one more, I didn't really get a chance to play with the second one, funnily enough. But who knows? First one was also excellent. Yes, the Arturia stuff is not good with the pen. No, it decides that, like I say, it works all right with fingers. You can do multiple things with fingers. The pen, not so much for some reason, and you can't get in the menus with the pen either. You have to resort to mice. But I mean, long ago, I've I've given in to the fact that you just have to have a mouse with you when using a Surface. You can't. There's no environment in which just touch is going to work on the Surface. You know, like it does on the iPad, because the iPad you have no choice really. It has to be touch friendly. On the Surface, it doesn't, because it's a flipping desktop computer. It's a real computer, so it has no reason to be touch only. But I still maintain my delusion that a combination of mouse, keyboard, and touch and pen makes for a happier, more interesting computing experience. But that's just me. Somebody said that no one's doing videos on the Surface Studio as a music tool, so I should like to put out there that if somebody would like to buy me a Surface Studio, I will happily make a dozen videos on it about making music, because it's a beautiful thing. No problem, I will do that. You used to sell them? Psycho Systems. Do you know Kendall then? Chord Fluke. Is that Kendall? Have you lost all your hair? I can only see a tiny little image of you on there. Because Kendall used to work for Psycho, did he? Have I got that wrong now? Anyway, he used to sell Fairlights and all sorts of stuff, and he ended up being my tutor at university, which I thought was fun. He was a nice guy. I really liked him. Yeah, a funny guy. Very much. But I remember, nobody else really cares about this, but I think it's interesting, is that there was an inspirational video that I saw when I was a kid. I think it was on Micro Live, or it's on the BBC anyway, and it was all about synthesizers and synthesis. And it had Bob Moog in it, playing with his Moog. It had people playing switched on Bach. It had the guitar, synth axe things on it. It had synclaviers on it and Fairlights on it. And Kendall was right in the mix there, doing demonstrations on things like that, and the Lindrum and other synths. And I thought he was just the most amazing. He even had a great shirt on, and I thought, that's the job. I want that job. I want to do what he's doing. And it was because of that that I applied to, many years ago, the London College of Furniture, or at least this was one of the inspirational journeys that it took me on, was to apply to London College of Furniture to do musical technology, which was a brand new course. Nobody else did that course. It was the only course you could do on electronics and music. It was called, in fact, it was called Electronics for the Music Industry. And they had a Fairlight and they had a Moog modular, and that was the course I wanted to do. And at the time, there was only an HND. You couldn't even do a degree in it. It was only an HND. But they were talking about doing a degree course, or inventing a degree course for it later on. So I applied for that, and then I failed all my A-levels, so I wasn't able to go. And I went off and did something else for a few years, but then came back to it years later as a mature student. So the exam results didn't matter anymore. I came back to it a few years later and was able to get straight on the degree course, and Kendall was my tutor. And it's like, but you're the guy off the thing I videoed off the telly that I watched 1,000 times. And he goes, yeah, because he's a bit like that. And I think I managed, in the whole 3 years I was there, to play on the Fairlight once. Because it was stuffed in a corner that, you know, no one ever seemed to use it. But there we go. And the light pen was missing. So did you? Would you? Yeah, you know Kendall. Yeah, okay, cool. Paul Beckett. I don't know that. Yeah, the documentary you've gone on about was filmed at Psycho. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think so. Weren't you you weren't in Soho Square at that point? Well, you know, I'm mixing you up with the Soho Soundhouse, aren't I? Yeah. Yeah, no, how funny is that? No, I thought he was ace. And in some ways, yeah, it's one of those people I lost touch with over the years, which is a shame. So I just thought he's a nice geezer. So if you ever run into Kendall, give him a hi from me. Tell him he needs to come and subscribe, because I'm nearly on 20,000 subscribers, in case I hadn't pointed that out. That if you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, subscribe now, quickly, subscribe now, to poke me and push me over into the 20,000 subscribers. That would be awesome. Is there anything on here that tells me what my current subscriber count is? Damn it! No, I'll have to look at some other screen. But anyway, someone have a look. See how many subscribers we're on at this moment in time. Stick it in the comments. So, did I already get a copy of Massive X? I can absolutely tell you, hand on heart, that I have not. No, I have not. That's out in February, I think. So that will be post NAMM. So, Will I get a copy ahead of time? I don't know. I am on Native Instruments' kind of favourites list a little bit down the bottom there somewhere. You know, once I've gone past all the proper people like, you know, Richard Devine and Andrew Wang and blah 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 blah. I get down all these people, and then at the bottom there somewhere is this Molten guy. And so if they've still got a couple of keys left, they might throw one in my direction. You never know. You never know. But of course I won't tell you because I'll be under NDA. Although we know about it already, so it'll probably be okay to tell you. I just can't tell you anything about it. It looks really different though, doesn't it? I mean, have you seen the screenshot of Massive X? It looks completely different. You know, it could have been a different thing. $19K and 71. 19K with 71 watching. Okay, 19,959. Okay, so we need 41 people. 41 people. Go and find 41 people. Phone them up. Tell them to go onto YouTube and subscribe right now so we can hit 20K before we finish. And we'll be finishing in about half an hour at the latest. Quite possibly. Yes, 40 more. Go and get 40 people. Bring them in. Drag them in. Make them come in. Right. So, where did we get to? It was Howard first. Who was Howard? What? Papers are very well laid out. Yes. Yes, I do. Absolutely, I'm with you. Hitting tab in Reason and the way the cables wobble. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And cable wobble is, I mean, I imagine there's degree courses you can do on it in order to work out the physics of that. Because if you look at something like the Arturia, in fact, the Arturia mode modular, the wobbly cables in that is awful. It's just not the same thing at all. I don't know what they did, but it's not good. The wobble in Reason is excellent. You can just tab it all the time. We used to do that a lot. I mean, when Reason 1 came out, I was working the shop floor in Turnkey, and we were selling software all the time, and you would be doing that. Impressing people who came in. People come in and say, "Hi, I'd like to buy a microphone." You go, "That's great, but here's Reason. Look at this tab." They go, "Wow, I'll have a copy of that as well." Great. Any cables with that, sir? You know, that was my patter. What was that? Hang on. Okay. Don't know what that means. Okay, 40 more, yes. Drinking Guinness, great. Howard Jones. Howard Jones. Things can only get better. See, I've got the two meddled up now. I can't separate it. I'm gonna have to dig out Humans Live, you're right, and have to listen to it. Hi, Remy Duff. Welcome. Welcome for being late. Sit at the back. We've got a place for people like you. Okay, good. I got to the bottom of the comments, which means I now need to talk about something else. So we did the best soft synths. What else is there? Eurorack. Okay, best Euro. Now, this is a completely inappropriate place for any kind of Brexit jokes. Just like to make that clear. Okay, Eurorack. What happened in Eurorack? Let me have a look, see what I said on Gear News about it. Top studio mics, no. Modular, here we go. Top 5 modular. So, first of all, we have the Magneto. Okay, let's do demo time. Magneto demo time. Right. Oh, right. How am I going to do this? I'm going to take one thing. nice. Let's take that. Let's take that. What I want to do, I'm going to need to give it a bit of gating, I think. So let's stick a... which one is it? That one? Do I care? Doesn't matter because it's the same. Take a bit of that. Take that out of there. Jam that in there. No, that killed it. No, I don't want that, do I? I want that. Okay, so I've created something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jam that through the magneto. Put that in there and take the output. Where's that going? No, that's the clock. Where's the out? The output is here. Let's go into that one. Okay, have you got that? I'll turn it up a little bit. Now, I have absolutely no idea how to use this module. The way I've been using it so far is that I plug something into it and mess it about, and something comes out the other end which is usually okay. What I would like is to be able to use it as a delay where I have absolutely some idea as to what's happening, so I can do things on purpose. But I've got these 4 things, right? I've got them all on in green. If I turn that up, that's some kind of delay type thing going on. That much I understand. If I turn them all off, it doesn't really make any difference. I can do that a lot. I can move that wheel, and that makes a difference. But I can't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to take the clock out. That's more interesting. You can also introduce that sort of crap to it. And then you've got this transport button, which you can kind of make it reverse itself. That's not always very clear. But you do a tape stop, which is lovely. See, that's really great. So there's a whole load of stuff in here that I don't have any clue about yet, but I'm still just experimenting with. But every time I do, it's a whole load of fun. So this is not like clouds. With clouds, I would play with it, I'd get then angry, and then I'd have to go outside and slap someone. But with the Magneto, I don't find that. I'd play with it and I'd go, I'm not really sure what's happening, but it's doing really interesting things. But anyway, so yes, the Strymon Magneto. In some ways I'm surprised they haven't come out with anything else since, because undoubtedly their guitar pedals are used by modular people all the time, massively. Huge loads of the Big Skies and the Capistan, the other one, which kind of, both those things are a little bit built into the Magneto, I think. I kind of expect them to do more with it, but they haven't done. But as a module, as a first module by a manufacturer, it's an extraordinary piece of work. I mean, it's huge and it's deep and it's solid. It's this big. It takes up a whole load of HP. Of course, you couldn't see anything that I was doing, but it doesn't matter, man. Use your ears. Use your ears. It looks a bit like this. Like that. See? Yeah. Okay. Cool, cool. So yeah, Magneto. Really like that one. That was right at the beginning of the year again, though. The other one, well, yeah, there's a few, but another one is Marbles. Now, Mutable Instruments. My relationship with their within, their thus with, is, I don't know. I don't know, really. I mean, everyone loves them, Mutable Instrument stuff. Oh, jump up and down on it straight away. And I do too, but I just don't seem to have any. I've got Veils, of all things, which is a quad VCA, just because it's a quad VCA. That's really all. I no longer have the Clouds, as I spoke of before. But Marbles seems to be this really interesting randomization creation thing. I mean, that, along with Platts, I think are two quite extraordinary modules that they've released this year, and are capable of doing brilliant things. I just, for some reason, don't have the room or the time for those at the moment myself. Although I'd like to down the line, I think. I mean, a lot of it is because I kind of don't have the budget for buying modules anymore. So I'm kind of going with the modules I can build in kits, and also ones that people send to me, because people are lovely sometimes and send me stuff. So that's kind of how I'm approaching Eurorack at the moment. So I do have a wish list, and something like Marbles will probably be on it, because it does do a lot of interesting stuff. I can't suitably explain because I haven't really played with one, but it does have two different sides to it, two different forms of randomization going on. One kind of ideal for percussion, one better for melody, and it does a lot of stuff. I think you can probably kick out a whole load of drum stuff from that, which is something which I need to explore in depth. I'm finding that for 2019, what I really need is about 3 different lifetimes, so that I can focus on all these things. I can focus for a whole month on the Surface, and a whole month on that, and the same month on DIY, and the same month on hardware, and the same month on writing, and the same month on, you know, I want to start a whole other channel on Kung Fu fighting, but I just haven't found the time. Haven't found the time. So there's a couple, Magneto and Marbles. What say you? What say? Oh no, don't do that. What say you? The Magneto is so damn expensive. Yes, I had to sell a lot of gear to buy it, and even then I got a special deal from Red Dog. Oh, Red Dog! Oh, God bless you, and all who sailed in her. What a shame. So yeah, that was a crazy purchase. That was my last. That's why it wiped out my budget. It was the last expensive module I bought. I needed something to fill that clouds vibe, something which was just going to be special. That special, unusual, unique. Those are the sort of words, and Magneto seemed to fill that thing. And I knew it as soon as I saw it. I must have it. So I threw everything at it and sold stuff in order to make it happen. So yeah, it's expensive, but I mean, it feels expensive for something that I don't really know how to use as well, and that's a shame. But I will get down to it. In fact, I was speaking to Chelsea Bruno about this at Synthfest, Eden Gray, because she's got a Magneto, and she was kind of the same, saying, I don't really know what it does, but it's a lot of fun, and you make things happen in it, and that's part of the battle, really. I think you don't have to understand it. I don't think. Yeah. Use the mode button up to the left. It changes the behaviour of the 4 playheads. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's right. Yes, it does. So the Endorphin, Black Noir, and the Istruo Harmonake. Yes, good choices, sir. Who was that? Mr. McDonald Markinus. I'm sorry. Ronald's, I don't know how you pronounce that. Ronald's Marcus. Marcus, thank you, mate. Yeah, no, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I'll have a look to see if it's on my list in a minute. But yes, the Black Noir I thought was fascinating. Really interesting module. All those different forms of. It wasn't just the fact that it was a module with a bunch of drum sounds in it. It was the way that Endorphins do stuff. Because their stuff has always been interesting. It's just been a bit sort of huge and a bit yellow. It's kind of like the Grand Terminal thing going, oh, well, but it's massive. I'm not really sure what to do with it all. And so the Black Noir was a smaller unit, but had all these drum sounds in it, but had all these interesting things that they build into it, effects and filtering and thumping and bits. I think, yeah, that's a really fun piece of gear. Yeah, though I would love someone to give me one of those to play with. That would be great. And the Harmonake, yeah, I mean, all the Instruo stuff is amazing. I love the whole vibe. I love the aesthetic. I mean, the guy's really nice. He's got a whole thing going on. And there's all of their stuff just seems really earthy and meaty and intelligent. A little bit too intelligent for me, I imagine. But the Harmonake, looks amazing. If I had enough oscillators to run through it, and was thinking of doing chords and stuff. Yeah, really interesting. I'd like one of those. I'd like a lot of their stuff. I'd like a whole rack of their stuff, please. Somebody? Thank you. Yeah, DAG 2099. Yes, often with modules, even in VCV Rack, things will boggle your mind. And you'll think, oh, this isn't very good, and it's not what I expected, and all that kind of thing. But with some modules, you just have to persevere. Like, I mean, maths, for me, is an absolute vital piece of equipment that I had to really sort of bite myself to keep. I thought that this is rubbish. Why on earth did I get that for? But you have to, keep at it, and things start to reveal themselves about them. Yeah, that's an interesting thing about it, I think. Because of the guts of a synthesizer are laid bare in front of you, you have no choice but to keep on fiddling. With a regular synthesizer in a keyboard format, those things, you can forget about those things. I think they get sort of stuck behind the scenes, and you can be preset tweaking, which is a different way of working, I think. But when you've got Eurorack, whether software or hardware, you have to prod it because it's there and it's looking at you. You have to keep prodding it. And that's how these things reveal themselves to you, I believe. Was Magneto worth the price? I don't talk about the price. We don't think about the price. No, I mean, it's 500 quid, isn't it? No, of course it's not worth it. But it's a lovely module. Is it worth 500 quid? No, what sort of question is that? I don't know. Is it more fun? So the things I sold, for instance, to pay for it. What did I sell? That was back then. I sold a machine that I wasn't using, a machine Mark 1. So yeah, that's part of it. I sold a Korg controller keyboard because I've just been given the Native Instruments one. So yeah, my Control S49. Funnily enough, same name as the Control S49 down here. So yeah, I sold those 2 bits of gear, I think, and a couple of other bits. So yeah, was it? I mean, basically, I sold bits of gear that I wasn't using, that were quite old, and I was not using anymore. I sold those to pay for it. So yeah, absolutely, it's worth it. I could have got 2 or 3 other modules, I suppose, but at the time, it just seemed like the perfect thing. You've got to go with your gut, haven't you? You know, you've got to go with what's in front of you, what's screaming at you, rather than trying to think about it too hard. And I do not try to think about the price, because if I did, I wouldn't be doing any of it. I don't think. I see it as a rolling investment. Or my kids' college fund. Two HP pluck. Yes. I can do you a pluck demo if you like. Should I do that? Let's do that quick. In fact, I'll combine the magneto and the pluck together. That'll be fun. So let's turn that down. I might use some of those modes that other person mentioned. So I've got the thing. I had the thing coming out from here, which was going into there. So that must be going into there. So that must be that channel. So let's take that same one. I'm going to take the same sound, tune rather. Plug that into there. Take that. Whoa. Plug that through there. Out. Need to make it actually pluck something. Let's take the sequence out of there. Plug that in. Alright, that's making a whole load of stuff. That is the wrong cable I have in there, but it will have to do. Stuff that in there. No, I can do better than that. So that's the pluck that you're hearing. Which is it's a plucked instrument. It's a little string being plucked, and this is with it being dampened. And then as I open the dampening, it rings more. And what's nice about it is it's got 4 voices of polyphony, so when it rings, it can continue ringing while the next note comes in underneath. Oh, that sounded nasty. That's nice. So if I then introduce a magneto, I have no idea. See, that person said change the mode, right? So I did, and I don't know what that's doing, so it just makes a load of stuff. Oh, clear off. So I'm better off in echo mode. At least I understand that to a degree. Yeah, no, I don't think that's really working. But yeah, 2 HP pluck was brilliant, because I've been obviously thinking about the rings. Is it? Yeah, because everybody has the rings, and that seemed to be something you had to get, but I didn't have the money or the space for it. But then when the 2 HP pluck came up, I thought, yeah, but that's perfect, because I might have room for it. It's not very expensive, and it does that kind of thing. It was a brilliant purchase. I've used it a whole load, and it nearly always sounds far, far better than that just did. But there we go. Maybe I'll try it again at the end. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. So yeah, I really like that. I don't like everything that 2HP are doing. No, that's not quite right. That's not fair. No, I do. I think they're doing a lot of great stuff. I'm just less and less convinced by the 2HP form factor. Because it's just fiddly, man. It's just really fiddly. And I would happily give up a new 2HP in order to get some bigger knobs. I'm a big knob kind of guy. Dag 2099, you can try, by all means. Give it a go. I'll probably miss it because I miss most of the comments. But yeah, throw your hat in. Oops. Yeah, I mean, Robert, I guess the problem with it all is it's kind of in the name, isn't it? I mean, they're 2HP. That's their whole thing. That's their whole bag. I mean, how can they, I don't know what they're going to do about that. I don't think they can do anything about that. I mean, surely there's, I mean, I remember one of the videos that I really liked from the Look No Computer guy is that he took a couple of 2HP filters, I think they were, or something or other, and put great big 5U modular front panels on them. I thought that was brilliant. That's one of the best videos he's done, because he usually kind of annoys me, but that particular one I thought, ace. I wish he would do more like that, you know, less Furbies and messing about with soft toys, and more modding bits of hardware in a useful way. I thought that was brilliant. I thought inspirational, even, you could say. So there ought to be some kind of market out there for someone to do kits for them, new front panels for them, or if they just did kits of their own, which you could then create your own front panels for, or get someone to create front panels for. That would be super, I think. Yeah, I've heard that about you, Tourex. Okay. I like my strings to be sympathetic. I think I went through those. Da-da-da. Yes. So other modular things. What did I go? Oh, look, Black Noir was one of the ones I went for, most certainly. The entire Erica Synths Techno system. I mean, you know, it's not a module, but it's a modular thing. I had a go at it at Synthfest. Lovely lady was there, who I can't remember the name of, from Erica Synths. Name escapes me. Unfortunately, was very helpful, and we had a good chat about it. It was a nice. It's a nice collection of things. What I like about the Erica Synths Techno system is the fact that it's deliberate, because one of the hurdles, one of the things you have to jump over in order to get into modular is working out what the heck you're going to do with this thing. What am I trying to do? What is it I'm trying to do? I just want some modules because it's cool, man. But what is it that I'm trying to do? That's one of the hardest things, is working out what you're trying to do. So along comes the Erica Synths Techno system, and you suddenly have something to do. You've got a whole bunch of drums and a bass line. Right, off you go. Great. I mean, not even the Make Noise shared system can really say that, because the shared system is like, I've no idea even where to start. But with the Erica Synths Techno system, you know what you're doing. You've got drums, you've got effects, you've got a sequencer, you've got a bass line. You know, off you go. And it makes the right sort of noises. And look, I'm on the filter. Look, I'm on the filter. Oh, I'm changing the decay on that kick drum, and I'm changing the tone on it as well. Brilliant. I'm mixing those effects in. Look, see? It all works. It's working as a thing, but they're still modules. It's still not semi-modular. There's no background connection. You still have to make the connections on the front. But I think it's a really good thing, and I would be happy if any other company did a similar sort of thing. In fact, if Arturia did get into modular, wouldn't be at all surprised if they did in a similar way. So rather than, well, of course they'll give you individual modules, but they perhaps sell it in their 6U rack case as a, you know, multi-voice sequencing system, or as a drum system, or as a some other, as an EDM system, for heaven's sake. Because that would make some kind of sense. It would make sense to their customer base, so they don't have to be awash with modules going, I don't have the faintest idea what I'm supposed to do. It needs to be targeted, and it needs to be specific. And I think that could work very well, particularly for someone like Arturia. But the Erica Synths one, yeah, brilliant. And it's all in black. I mean, great, fantastic. You've got to stick on a black leather jacket, you know, go down to those Berlin clubs, and you're away, man. Fantastic. Far more interesting than, you know, I don't know, a System 1 or a System 100 rather, or the Dofa A100, or, you know, something along those sorts of lines. The other thing I put in there was the Rack Brute, yeah, which I've already spoken about. So yeah, cool. Any other thoughts on really good modules this year? I'm just trying to rack my brain if I can think of anything else that really came along. There were things like the 4MS spherical wavetable navigator, which never seemed to materialize. There's a lot like that, because I mean, I think in some ways because we can see behind the curtain with a lot of these people, that we see things in development, and because these are small companies, they take a long time to actually emerge. Like companies like Livestock Electronics, for instance, we saw those, I think, a full year before anything actually emerged from them. Similarly with Soulsby, they've been working on that synthesizer of theirs now for ages, and that still hasn't come along. My favourite module from Superbooth was the Electrophon Clang, it was called, which was it was a quantizer, chord quantizer or something, beautiful looking module. Again, still not quite there yet. Here we are 9 months later, you know. So we do suffer from that a little bit, in that we get these glimpses of prototypes and of early modules or something, but it's just a long road to actually get them to market. You know, that's difficult, but we still love seeing them. I mean, the Erica Synths Techno system still took a long time, and one of their drums, which was shown at NAMM last year, still isn't quite ready. So, Yeah, tricky business. It must be a tricky business getting this stuff to market. I mean, I guess that's what Behringer is seeing now. I mean, because everybody has massive Chinese factories like Behringer does, and they must be all encountering the same sorts of problems. Oh, that's got it. I actually finished it before the end of the show, which is 10 o'clock. My goodness me, look at that. 10 o'clock, we got all the way through here. So was there anything else really best ofs to talk about? I don't know. It was just something to throw in there to stop me just waffling on forever. I think we covered the main three: software, hardware, Euro rack. No, anything else you'd like my opinion on? Throw the questions in now. This will be the last few minutes of a quick fire question and answer session, and we see how we go. We've still got 74 people out there. All of you 74 people must know 5 people each to say subscribe now, and get me up to the 20 grand before we shut off, as we will do shortly. You mustn't you? And if you don't, do so. Do so now. Best album. Yeah, I'd love to be able to say that. I just don't actively listen to music in that way anymore, because the music albums I've listened to the most will be Now 99, Now 101, because that's what gets played in the car most of the time. I did pick up that DinSync album because I really loved the first one that DivKid was on, and the second one similarly was really great. Those are highly enjoyable, I have to say. And I've been picking up a lot of vinyl over this past year, but I haven't had the chance to play it because we've had builder work done on our house, and my turntable is not in a position where it's connected to anything that I can hear anything through. So I've got like half a dozen bits of vinyl sitting there, which I just have not had the opportunity to play, which is horrible, obviously, just a disaster. But soon, when we finally invest in a sideboard that can handle putting vinyl and a record player on it, I will have my music back up and running. Otherwise, no. I did pick up a copy of Hannah Peel's album for my dad for Christmas, because he's mad into his electronic music. But I didn't get a chance to listen to it before I gave it to him, before I wrapped it up. So yeah, but I will look up Howard Jones and see how that's going. But otherwise, no, I've no idea. I don't have the first clue. But I do hope to be releasing an album myself very soon, of a collection of music that I've been doing over the years that will be putting together. Will be going out shortly. I have a little bit of mixing to do. I had a friend come in and play some bass guitar, which was fantastic, in order to finish off the last track. So as soon as I can find the time, that'll be out there. And then that sort of would be the last of my non-modular music, although it does have one modular track on it. And from then on in, it will be more of this kind of stuff. Yeah, potentially. Perhaps. I don't know, does anyone make music? Does anyone make a living out of that kind of thing anymore? I don't know. So, yes. Neutron or Mother 32? Oh, please. Mother 32 is nice. I don't know about the Neutron so much. And the Mother 32 hasn't required a firmware update to make it nice either. It just does what it does quite nicely. The Neutron, I think, has got its own sound. It's got its own little bits and pieces in there. Yeah. If you had a choice between the two, well, it's a financial decision, isn't it? Because one is twice the price of the other, more or less. If you want something with Moog written on the back, then get the Mother 32. Otherwise, I'm sure the Neutron will do you fine. Caitlin Aurelia Smith, yes, I've adored some of her music, and some of it not so much. So I'm a bit mixed about it. Some of it's been, oh wow, that was great. I mean, I loved the synergy thing she did with, you know who I mean. That was amazing. What a great piece of music. Some of her own solo stuff, yeah, I dip in and out, but it's not. I'm not as taken with it as perhaps I hoped I would. I'm taken with some of it, and some of it not so much, which is interesting. But she seems to be quite prolific. She's really getting a lot of stuff out there, and using it in interesting different ways. I'd really like to see her live, I think, would be the key. I think that would be a bit more inspirational. Thought you mentioned the lattice. I did. I did. I did mention the lattice, and I will do again. That's coming at the end. Where I'm saying, oh yes, I'm going to be doing the lattice. Oh yes. So okay, best thing of 2018 is this. Ready? Is that? See that? This is a fader cap. It's a transparent fader cap, and the idea is, right, that you squish it between your fingers and you stick it over these ridiculous little faders that we have to put up with in Eurorack. So you squish it over the top like that. Do you see that on there? I don't know that you do. And now this, it becomes more finger friendly, I suppose. It's not sharp like those ones are. You can grab it slightly easier, and because it's transparent, the lights shine through it. They glow through it. In fact, it gets a little bit diffuse. So I've got it over here on my Batumi flashing away, and also over here on my random rhythm. And it's, as I say, it diffuses the lights a little bit, so it tones them down a little bit, but also makes them larger, and they glow beautifully. So it's good, less slippy, very grippy. And these are called fader caps from WMD. Fader caps. 10 you get in a pack for £5, I think. I can't remember. But I'm putting them on everything. I think they're great. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, find yourself some of those, and you'll see them in a video, no doubt, that I'll be doing very soon when I get something a bit closer in on here. So yeah, those are great. I'm going to stick them on everything. Why is my Variegate 4 out here? I'm not sure. I need to put that back in. I think. You need to put that back in. Put that, make that go away. So, yeah, what do we expect from 2019? Well, a whole load of Behringer stuff, I imagine, 2019. My predictions for this year will be, yeah, one of the major players will step into Eurorack. Someone like Arturia probably will step into Eurorack properly with modules. I think we'll see more sequencers actually arrive. There's lots that keep getting developed, but more stuff along this sort of lines. Desktop stuff. I think we will see more polysynths, I imagine, at NAMM from all sorts of people. Roland have got to knock something out of the park. They're doing all right. They've got a lot of interesting stuff going on, but I don't know. I feel like there's something else they need to do. I mean, they've come along, they've done different things, they've changed different things, like with the TRS, for instance. That was a really good change from the TR8. Little things, they're starting to get the hang of it. So I think we could see something great from them. I would love for Yamaha to do anything, anything at all. I mean, it took other people to produce programmers for their little reface keyboards. They've got to do something. Maybe there's just no money yet. Maybe all the money is in home keyboards and arranger keyboards, that kind of thing. I mean, this ModX thing, lots of people were running on about that, which, is not something that appeals to me in any way, shape or form. It seemed to me like, an old school workstation keyboard. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm doing that absentmindedly. Just annoyed me that it was sitting there looking at you. So I mean, I don't get it. It looks like a Core Game 1, which at the time was awesome, but these days I'm not that interested in. So that was that. Well, then maybe there's more. Maybe there's more to that. But from me, then, in order to finish this up at my end. Yeah, cheers. No worries. You're welcome to drift away. Please, by all means, drift away. I'm not going to continue. I might even, go home and open the Norfolk Cock. Not sure yet, but I know I'm going to wind this up shortly. New Volkers, yeah, they looked interesting. Yes. So from me, coming up. I mean, unfortunately, I've kind of been saying the same thing for a few months now because I keep getting a little bit trapped. I get trapped because, well, for good reasons. I get, given something that I have to review quickly, so I've only got it for a small amount of time. Like the generator. Although, oddly, I'm hanging on to this now because, as I say, I'm doing a sound and sound review of it now too. So I had to do that. So that bumped a whole load of things aside. I had to do the pigments thing. So that bumped a load of things aside. I've had to do an awful lot of writing in this last month for rounding stuff up and getting new stuff ready for the new year. So that's taken up a lot of my time too. So there's a range of things that I've been meaning to do that now seem a little bit old, and that's a shame because they're not, and they're new and exciting, and I want to get them done because, you know, I might be ahead of the game still just about. And that, more than anything, is the lattice here, the lattice sequencer. Fabulous sequencer, and I want to tell you all about it, and I will, I promise. That I've got two things to write for Sound on Sound just at the moment. As soon as I've done those, I will do a video on the lattice, so expect to see that second week of January, I should think, with a bit of luck. So I'm going to do the lattice sequencer. Fantastic, do that. Then I want to do some DIY. So I'm well behind on the DIY. I've got half a dozen projects to build. I'd like to do at least one or two of those. And I have an exciting new idea for a case, which is coming up very soon. I've ordered something which should be in, and then we're going to look at, see if I can make that into a portable Eurorack case. So I've got that coming up also. Otherwise, more Surface stuff. Yes, I mentioned that. A whole series of more Surface stuff because people are crying out for more information. As I said, I did on the Surface Go and the Surface Pro 6, I did some sort of preliminary testing just to get the first results out there. Can I run a DAW? Yes, you can. Okay, off you go. Now we need to know what it's like with virtual instruments and effects, what the polyphony is like, perhaps how many tracks you can run, how good it is without using an audio interface, how good it is with. Some people have been telling me about there's a particular piece of software which gets inside it which allows you to run different performance settings, and I should really look into that a little bit with a little bit more depth because I get a bit arrogant about these things and assume that I know what I'm talking about, and it's always worthwhile checking out other avenues, even though I know that 99% of the time it doesn't make any difference. One other thing I will mention, which is the Pablo Martin, and his High Computer is his High.computer is his website, and he's been finishing off the software for the Surface Dial, which is now just superb, absolutely superb. The other thing he's doing is re-releasing emulator software. It's now called Chameleon. And he originally wrote the emulator software that was used by Smithson Martin, which was then taken on by Touch Innovations, who then screwed it really badly. So he's taken it back off them and is re-releasing version 1 and is improving it and changing it and making it into the piece of software it always should have been. So if you're into multi-touch and want a multi-touch controller, customizable one, then check out hi.computer. Go and check out Chameleon. It's free, I think, at the moment, certainly to try it out for now. And if you have a Surface Dial, then check that out also. That's called Elephant, strangely named. But never mind. Hey, so those two things, I'll also be looking at those in some more depth. I'd like to do some videos on voltage modular. Again, I'd like to design my own module in it as well. And I've got some other modules on their way to me. I have a Treadstone module that I'd like to review as well from Analog Solutions. I have this poor old AA1 over here that Strymon gave me 9 months ago, which is an effects pedal loop. I'd like to do a video on that very much. So there's tons to do, tons and tons to do, always more to do, and that's fun, man. I like that. So thank you so much for this year. It's been an interesting year. I tried the Patreon thing this year, and that's been quite well. It's been great. Obviously, I mean, I'm overwhelmed that people have joined up. I've got 60 odd people on there who have joined up and give me a couple of dollars every month, and that's enormously helpful. It applies pressure to me to encourage me to do more videos and to keep on pursuing this sort of content and to see it as being something of value, and that's been really helpful. Because sometimes you're shouting out into the world and not really sure what the heck's going on. And you're not getting that much genuine feedback, you feel. But with Patreon and people becoming patrons, it does make me feel I'm on the right track and I'm doing something that's helpful to people, which is ultimately what it's all about. Ultimately, what we're trying to do. I like being famous. Yeah, of course, that's the first one. I like being rich. Yeah, obviously. But also I like being helpful. Those are the things really. And if the first two aren't really working, because they're not, then I'll settle for being helpful. You know, that's useful. But you know, ultimately, all this video making, all this talking that I'm doing, all of it pushes me towards creativity. It pushes me towards doing stuff, fitting with things, and making music, which is what I want to do. And I love the fact that some of my work, which often people who work in the industry find it difficult to make music because you're talking about it, thinking about it all day, so to actually sit down in the evening to do that is difficult. But because my work pushes me into making some music, I'm internally grateful for that. I mean, I could be working in a flipping office, you know, I could be serving burgers somewhere, but I'm not. I'm here talking and writing about music, and that I feel extremely privileged to be able to do that. And 2018 has continued to enable me to do that. And it's been great. There's been some lows. I've had some trouble, but I've also had some great stuff too. And at the moment, I seem to be moving into 2019 on a bit of an upward trajectory. About to hit 20 grand on the old subscribers, which is awesome. I've got some great writing gigs coming up. I've got great ideas for videos. Just can I find the time to do all of that? And at the same time, I've got kids who are just phenomenal. Amazing children, a very understanding and awesome partner and wife and friend, and family around me who have no idea what it is that I do in here all this time, and that's fine. So I hope 2019 is going to be great. I hope that it is. I hope that you will join me on this journey and dip in and dip out, you know, and say hello if you ever see me. I'm always happy to be shy and awkward with people. That's awesome. Got anything more to say, throw it into the comments, throw me emails, Facebook, I don't care. Join up on Patreon, shout at me if you like, demand things for your money. That's also fine, I don't mind. You'll find me on all sorts of social media. I'm always happy to talk. I'm also quite sarcastic, and so please bear with me if I don't give you the answer that you thought you probably deserved. That's okay. So I will bid you good night. I'll have a last minute fiddle and then fade myself out at some point. Let me just do a last check on any comments, if there's any burning questions. A new case, someone says, yeah, I talked about it, how taking this to a gig was difficult. How I sat it down and everyone's looking at it from behind, and I want to have something that's flat and portable. You know, I've got my cardboard case that I got over here that I put my DIY stuff in, that somebody gave me a really hard time about on YouTube. I mean, pages and pages of stuff about how I'm endangering the world with my cardboard and electricity shenanigans. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yep, have a good one. You're welcome. Is Stage Light 4 out? Yes, it is, Diego. Yes, it is. Yeah, I like the Yamaha AM1X as well. Their virtual modelling stuff was awesome. Yeah, they did some good stuff. The CX1, CSX1, oh, I can't remember. Those sorts of things. Yeah, I loved it. Great stuff. It's again, yeah, Happy New Year. Whatever it was you were pushing, DAG 2099, I missed it. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. Good, great, super, lovely. Okay, I'll leave it there because it's going on. It's now 20 past 10. Right, I need to be in bed. So, thank you. Good night. I'm Robin Vincent. This is Molten Music Technology you've been watching, and I'm going to play you out with whatever it was I had running a minute ago, and I'll try to fiddle with it a bit. So I'll see you later. good place to stop. Thank you very much.